Can you tell me how you got involved in the Soviet Jewry and how you found out about refuseniks?
Well, you'll have to edit this out because it's a long story. But it really happened in Israel, meeting a couple of people, a family, who had just come in from Leningrad. And we spent 2
You're not
nights.
telling the whole story.
Well, it's hard. We can
Oh,
take
you
it.
should tell her the whole story, and then she
All
can
right,
edit
then
it.
you can edit it out. All right. So we were in Israel in '73. The summer of '73. And we were asked by Chaim Winitsky, who was then head of the Jewish Agency, to come to Lud Airport at 4 in the morning to meet a plane of Soviet Jews who were coming in from from the Soviet Union. And we had just been to Sharm el-Sheikh that day. We had had a very, very long day in Israel. And the trip from Jerusalem, where we were, to Lud Airport was very long. There were no highways. It was all back roads. So we decided not to do it. The next day, we were in a little restaurant, a favorite of ours, in Herzliya, the Apollonia. And the proprietor could speak Russian and Yiddish. So he came over to the table and said to Joe in Yiddish, do you want to meet a family who just came in from the Soviet Union early this morning? So we knew that that was the plane that we had not gone to greet. So we said, sure. So we spent 2 nights in that restaurant with this family. They couldn't speak English, and we couldn't speak Russian, but because of the restaurant owner and the Yiddish, we were able to, each family was able to make itself understood. And we were leaving the next day, and the husband, father, they were 2 wonderful young people with children, 2 little girls. And he said, you have to get my brother out of Leningrad. He's my whole life. I can't live without my brother. And you have to go back to the States and work with your congressmen and senators. He said, we got out through the efforts of Senators Jackson and Javits. And you have to go back and do whatever you need to do. So we came back and with that charge, and Joe was president of the synagogue, his synagogue at the time, and we decided that on Yom Kippur he would give the charge to the congregation to adopt this family. So 73, Yom Kippur, the war broke out in Israel, and we didn't know what to do. We didn't know whether Joe should continue with the plan to go ahead and speak about the family, the Cherniak family in Leningrad, or not. But we decided it was the right thing to do. And Yom Kippur, 73, we adopted, Harzion Radner adopted Irma Cherniak. And we sent letters, we tried to make calls. He had no phone, he had no job. He was a refusnik. And finally, we made contact, and we learned that he had been on a hunger strike, and we tried to keep up as much as possible through the year. And in the spring of '74, I said to Joe, we have to go and meet this man. I can't keep working for somebody that I don't know. I have to meet him. So we did, and we decided to take a trip that would take us to Moscow, Leningrad, Kyiv, and Yalta. And that's what we did. And Leningrad was the last stop. And we finally met Irma Cherniak. And we fell in love with him. And we were leaving. We spent, I guess, about two nights, two meetings with him. And when we were leaving, I said I was crying, and he said, Connie, don't cry for me. For the first time in my life, I'm a man, not a mouse. I'm an Israeli citizen. So we came home and we started working all over again for him. And then in '76, February of '76, we were going to the Brussels conference in Brussels. It was the Second World Conference on Soviet Jewry. And we knew that during the conference of '71, that some refuseniks had been released. And we were hoping that some would be released in '76.